Okay, I got a whole bag of these Kinney points. We'll just continue with these. And I think I mentioned it already. Sometimes these are confused with paleos, with paleo points. But I think we can see that a lot of these are very sharp on the stems, so they're not paleo. Paleos are ground down in most cases. And again, these are all from the same site. Okay. Let's see. Let's zoom in. I don't know. Yeah, zoom in. Looks like impact damage because of the burinated effect. That burinated effect is not very common with Flintknapping errors. Not common at all. And it says Kinney. Now this one does have a symmetrical stem, so if you create a V notch, it'll be straight. So it's not unreasonable to think that this is a projectile, both in terms of the hafting. It'd be easy to create the notch for this, because when you saw in a notch into a foreshaft, you naturally have a V. Like if you start sawing, it's going to be a V-shaped as you get down in there. And this is easily hafted into a V shape because it is symmetrical. So that it makes sense in two different respects that it's a projectile point. The impact and the hafting, the ease of hafting. Okay? Yeah, a lot of steps on this. They weren't too concerned with clean surfaces. Yeah, it's nice and sharp. Very, very sharp. And this one is also fairly symmetrical as far as the stem goes. Yeah, this one feels sharp also, all the way down. Now, where they have to, by wrapping this, wrapping the stems, the sharp stems, or it was just only glue to take advantage of the sharpness? I don't know. I've seen it many ways in pictures. Sometimes they haft, not Kinneys, but in general, I've seen where sharp edges are hafted with wrappings on the sharp edges and some not, just with glue. Now, if you just only have glue, that's usually a knife. When you see it in the archaeological record, knives are hafted mainly with glue. There's not much wrapping involved. But with projectile points, you do get wrapping. But you also have projectile points set only with glue. I have not seen very many though. But it is possible, right? We don't know. Looks like it's been resharpened. This one's been resharpened. Yeah, I'm showing these slow because they have a lot to tell. I don't know if I've already shown this one. It looks very similar to one of the other ones. Yeah, I guess I did not show this one yet. Very well made. little bit of a curve on this side. Very versatile looking point. The Kinney points can be used for all kinds of things. Projectiles, knives, spear, handheld spear points, saws. I can't tell what happened to this one. It looks like it's been resharpened, but it's pretty crude. To be fair, the material is not that great. Looks like percussion work with very little pressure. That's my impression. Just this is a percussion preform or fully made finish point made with percussion only. Now this one here obviously broken in two spots. Well, no, this is the base. Never mind. I thought that was a break, but that's the base. This is the break here. Sometimes the base Flintknapping is a lot more careful than the sides on these. I don't think this is a finished point, right? But the thinning and the attention on these bases seems to be, and some of these, more carefully done than the sides themselves. Like I don't see little steps at all on this concavity, but I see steps on the sides. Looks like they were very careful with the stems and the concavity within the base. More so than the Flintknapping on the sides. So that's an interesting thing. Yeah, see on this side here you got this little defect, but you don't see those. Got maybe a little one there, but a lot of attention done to the base. Yeah, I don't know if that's broken in manufacture or what. It seems like it's finished. It's a little bit, yeah, it's asymmetrical as far as the thickness. It's pretty close though. So when it's asymmetrical, my first impression is knife. You know, one side is real thick and one side's flat. It looks like a knife to me. This one looks like it's broken in manufacture because I would not leave this on a finished point. This area here. So it looks like they were getting ready to remove it and they broke it in some other way. They developed the stem area first because they were obviously not going to leave that in there. So they did this first down here and then we're going to remove that. It looks like they hit it once in the middle. It didn't go anywhere. A common direct percussion mistake with that little steppiness in there. So it looks like they hit it once. And that may have snapped the whole thing. But you can see that they were attempting to hit into the step fracture. Direct attack. That would have come in from this direction. But it looks like a direct attack on this one. Yeah, the sides of the stem look finished already. But the blade was not. Okay. This one looks resharpened. Little tip ding. A ding just means a small small defect. Usually snapped off barb or point or ear when they say it's a ding. Sometimes the ding will be on the side like a little chip taken out. Kind of crude resharpening. Looks like some pressure there on the near the tip. Step fractures. Nothing fancy. Asymmetric stem. Yeah, sticker on this side. Although I think it might go straight if you have it in a V notch. Yeah. I don't know. That might be one characteristic to look for when I'm doing the analysis, is to write down, are the stems symmetrical enough for V notch, or does it require a wide bottom notch? Same with peternalis and all the other points. Maybe that's a data point that I need to put into the record keeping. I probably should, yeah. It's an important distinction because if it's asymmetrical and you need a very wide notch, or if it's real thick and asymmetric, then to me that's going to require a big substantial shaft or foreshaft. Now this one here, the stem is thin, blade is thick. Looks like it may have been resharpened, but it's very irregular. I don't know. I don't know if that's an impact break or manufacturing break. It's pretty small in comparison to some of these other ones. It's a wide range of widths. Let's see. Yeah. This is one of the more narrow ones. And if you don't have the whole blade or a large portion of the blade, you can confuse it for some other point, because there are peternalis points with stems like this. So if it was snapped low enough to where it looks like a peternalis stem, you might get it confused. Like this one here, it has the thinning flakes that look like peternalis. If it was snapped here, it'd be difficult to tell what it was. So, you know, I think you get it. This is miserable material in the raw state, so I can see why the napper had difficulty with this one. This light shirt with the little specks in it is pretty miserable. Now you can heat it up and it'll work better. But maybe this napper didn't care how it looked. Still works well. Edges are still fairly sharp. You can tell they sharpened them. There's a little bit of a dull spot here, of course, but for some reason the napper didn't care. Okay. Nice little well-made point. I can probably guess how long it was and then make a replica of this one. The edges are fairly straight. Yeah, they're pretty straight. It would be a very nice projectile. Symmetrical stem as far as thickness goes, and symmetrical in other ways also. Some difficulty with the step fracturing, but edges are still sharp. Few dull spots. Right there's a dull spot. There's a little bit of a, I don't know what that is there. It's a flat spot. They didn't take that off. And I'm wondering on some of these, since they didn't have magnifying glasses, like reader glasses back in the day, that if as they get older you can't see what you're doing, then there's some issues with being able to see those areas that need to be sharpened. You can go by feel when you're napping, but it's much more difficult. You really actually need to see the dull spots in order to eliminate them. Effectively, anyway. Looks like an impact Buren type fracture, and definitely heavy duty damage. And this fluting from the tip, very common with impact fractures. Yep, okay. Next bag. These are all wrapped. Let's see. Let's see. Uvalde Gower and related. Okay, I'll take these out off camera and then look at them without having to unbag each one. Let's see. Need a bag with loose items. This bag is not marked. Alrighty. Yeah, this feels and looks like raw stone. Very, very difficult stone. At least in terms of step fracturing, I can feel it already that it's extremely grainy. Yeah, I don't know what that was going to be. These look like miscellaneous point types. And I'm glad I have a blade. This is cool. This is curved, but not too bad. It could still be a projectile, in my opinion. It's slightly curved, but not so curved that it would be an issue as a projectile. Although that might be the reason why it snapped. Because if it's curved, it'll enter the wound and it'll kind of do this. It'll dive in that. It'll enter in a curved manner. And it puts a lot of pressure on the stem. And it'll snap. But I don't know if that's what happened with this one. Obviously the stem is snapped off. The bottoms of the notches, there's a little bit of crushing going on, but not too much. These are refined edges. This is about the best edge work on most of these. It's thin, but it's not like razor sharp. It is sharp, but not razor sharp. There's a couple of spots in here I can feel it tugging, so it is pretty sharp in some spots. So yeah, this is about the best edge that I've seen so far on these points. But I don't know what type this is. I'm trying to show the shadow so you can see the pressure flaking or the signs of pressure flaking. Little step fractures here and there. But for the most part, it's pretty good. Very well refined. So that's a nice piece for study. This looks like the stem to me. Point up here. Very thick. I don't know if it was finished. I don't know if that's a tool or what. Yeah, I don't know. Tool or a point. Yeah, I don't know what to call it. Maybe an Ellis, but it's been resharpened, so these are hard to tell. And some dings. Without the full barbs and the full blade, it's often difficult to tell what these are. Some of these you can tell what they are because they leave the cortex on the base. I don't know which style does that. I forget. Looks like percussion resharpening there. Now, can you do a percussion while it's in the haft? Yeah, but it's risky because sometimes the pitch will crack. You have to reheat it. In the process of reheating, sometimes you can damage the stone. It's rare, but you can damage the stone from reheating. If it's got a lot of moisture, it may crack or pop or whatever. This is extremely thin so far compared to the other points. But it's a totally different style. It looks like, I don't know, Gower type maybe. Definite impact fracture. Nice edges, nice and thin. Up here, it gets thicker as you go down and duller. Yeah. No dulling. It doesn't feel like there's any dulling on the stem. Nice little notch there. Preliminary thinning flake. See that wide flake? That's like a preliminary thinning flake, and then they just napped it down, popped out. See the thinning flake on both sides to give you the ability to notch it deeply. I don't know what caused that damage. Could be impact, but it doesn't look finished. This side's all nasty. I have no idea. This is probably just a rough edge for a preform and then somehow broken in manufacture. Very nice material as far as color, but it also feels pretty good. Yeah, I would say broken in manufacture. Straight stem, and this was wide and bulgy, cracked, and discarded. But the notch development is what's interesting here. No crushing. And you can pretty much see the size of the tool. It was a wide tool. Relatively speaking. Right? Compared to the steel I was just using there. So yeah. It's a narrow notch. So it's not a wide notch, but it's the... What's interesting is a lot of times it'll show the dimension of the tool by looking at the notch. This one you can't tell what the dimension of the tool is, although it could be that fat. Probably wasn't. Probably was much more narrow than this notch. But you never know. On these wide notches, you never know the size of the tool, but on these narrow notches, you can get an idea how wide the tool was. Nice thinning flake, thick stem. These are all random pieces. This probably should go in the Kinney bag. This one here. Yep. Yeah, a lot of these are probably, well, not a lot, but some of these are Kinneys that are in this bag mixed together with the other ones. Crystal pocket there, so that was probably, I mean, it can be an issue when there's a big crystal pocket. This is a concrete area, difficult to nap through. Big bulge or turtleback-ish looking thing here, but it can still be hafted as a projectile. There's plenty of room there, but it just barely, I mean, not plenty of room, just barely enough room. Plenty of thickness. It has a little bit of a twist to it. I'm starting to get sleepy. Basil Notch. Looks like a finished point, but I can't tell what it's trying to be. It's a strange, to me that's a strange looking stem. They didn't put any side notches in here, no barbs or anything, just a little notch for the base, and that's it. It's an asymmetric stem, so I would probably have it as a knife. And you don't really need consistency with knife stems. You can basically make any shape you want. You just glue it in most cases. From surviving examples. Yeah, nice edge work. Still feels sharp. This is probably the dimensions of an Angostura. But again, there's no grinding. So I don't know. Barb here, stem broken off, heat damage. Looks like, well, it looks like only heat damage, although the tip could have been broken off in impact. Yeah, heat damage to a finished point on that one. A lot of ID tags on this stuff. Yeah, I took it off because it hides some of the flaking. On these, you can't tell if they're resharpened or not when they're broken up like this. They might be finished point or resharpened. Okay, nice little stem. I'm running out of time on this segment. These are definitely what I think are pressure flakes on this base, coming up from the base on the stem here. And impact damage, it looks like. Nice notching. Nice piece. All right, next segment.